The following program is rated S for satire. We are not professionals, nor are we clinically depressed. We do, however, suffer from long bouts of indecision and stagnation. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Take That Depression, the Project CC ARC podcast. I'm Kyler. That's Spencer.
Hello there.
Spencer, how was your week this week?
It's been really good. I can't really complain. No complaints on this guy's end.
Good. Again, we're doing our double recording from last week, so we're still here.
Still here, still good.
Yep. As we ended last week's episode with a stream of randomness that didn't matter, that's going to be this whole episode. This whole episode is one of the lines in the sand. Again, we're going sandstone. But we're going back to the basics here. I got a list of questions about like the basics of the world that we're doing.
You've heard us mention a few times about we're dreamers and always thinking ahead, and very much so like, all right, how should the ending go? And haven't even started the beginning. So we both kind of talked about it and decided like
we need this.
We need to get some foundation going. As much as we're ambitious to start this and want to get going, we need a foundation or our whole house is just going to come crumbling down.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to start doing a thing and then we're going to figure out the laws of physics don't support that in the world. And it's like, crap.
You fool!
I like to use the term we've been eating out of the middle of the sandwich. We've been doing that for many episodes, and it's time to come back and eat that crust, man.
Bring it around town.
You got to do it. But again, this will be very stream of consciousness. This is not, we generally also talk about what we're going to talk about before we hit the record button. So we have kind of talked about our views and thoughts on a thing. This is not that. I have a list of questions that I think you skimmed, and we're going to just ask them one by one, talk about them until I think we're content, and then we're going to move on to the next question.
I won't be doing that.
So, again, very stream of consciousness. This is taking you on a ride to what our pre-episode usually looks like. The thing that we always say that we should hit record for.
Then never do.
And then never do. This is going to kind of be that. So we're just going to hop right into it.
It's the most hot dog water when we finally decide to do it. It's like, maybe we shouldn't have.
Yeah, we should never do that again. What is the genre and tone for Project CC?
Ooh.
I think I can snag this first. I think at least the genre is kind of like a gritty, low fantasy. Because magic is not going to be a big part of it. I do want it to I don't want it to be like black and white or like Berserk level, like gritty, grimy. But I don't want it to be rainbows and unicorns, and like I want there to be very real consequences to people's actions that you see.
I can agree with that. I think what came into my head when you asked that question just right off the bat is dark fantasy.
Yeah.
So same ballpark.
Yeah. The low fantasy, because I think it's going to be humans encountering human things. Humans encountering human things, but like in a fantasy world. That isn't exactly Earth, but isn't too far off. Again, not everybody's going to have a fireball they can cast.
Lightning bolt.
Yeah. So low fantasy, and that gritty, the dark. I think, again, I don't want that to overtake it. I don't want it to be like a depressing kind of. I don't want it to be all bad. But yeah, again, like I said, I want to have very real consequences for like if you choose to go into the dungeon alone. It's probably not going to end well for you. The dungeon is not a friendly place.
Maybe morality takes hold somewhere in there.
Yeah. Making people make choices that they normally wouldn't make. I think is also a very fun thing that could and should be on the table. Save one or kill one to save 1,000 or whatever type things where it's like a hard decision that nobody wants to make. I don't want to shy away from that is kind of where I'm getting at.
Yeah.
With the gritty, I don't want it to be in your face depressing, but I do want it to just make you...
I need to go outside. I need to read a book after this.
Need to take in the sunlight. Anything else on genre and tone?
I think you nailed it.
Okay. Next question: what does the world look like?
I think that was our first episode.
Yeah, I think we had talked about that a little bit. I can't remember if we set in stone it.
I think we made that episode before we did set in stones and stuff, so we talked about it.
Okay.
It's a fantasy land.
Yeah.
It's a lot like Earth. I don't think there's anything like too crazy, like, low gravity in this area or anything. I think the outside, is pretty Earth-like. Maybe it'll be like where we're centered, maybe coastal.
Yeah.
It will. What I would like to aim for, with these dungeons is maybe more unnatural biomes.
Yeah.
So I think that's where a lot of the fantasy will come into place. But as far as like the world and the outside world, I think that's pretty normal for the most part.
Yeah. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. My one thing for the overworld, and again, I don't know exactly how much we delve into the overworld with Project CC specifically, but to have this nailed down right away, so we know for future projects, I think my one takeaway, my one change from Earth would be even less landmass.
Yeah.
I would like primarily water, like 80-90% water.
Yeah.
To where like you're almost, again, not during Project CC times again, but like in the future of the world, it would be almost claustrophobic with just like how many people you need to fit in the space. Where there's like we have been saying for the longest time, but it's not like super true, but it's like there's just too many people for Earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
That in like the future of the world, I want that to possibly be an issue that we could explore.
I like water, more water than Earth.
Yeah.
2026.
But yeah, I do. The focus of Project CC is going to be the dungeon. I think that is going to be a fun character to explore. And yeah, I think we delve into different biomes. I think almost like a like how does this fit kind of thing. When you go down to a certain floor, there's like an underground mountain type thing. It's like you walk through to floor 17 and you open the door and it's just this huge expanse. They're like, how could this fit in a dungeon? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Why is this here? And that's kind of where in my head, if you're like, some of the magic would come in, is like it's bigger on the inside than it looks like it should be on the outside, kind of deal. And that's kind of where.
That's my kind of magic. That's
exactly. The closet that is just like 1 inch too big. If you measure on the inside versus measure on the outside, it's like, how did we get here? But it doesn't affect anything. But yeah, I think that's what the world looks like. A more watery Earth, and the dungeon is where it will be focusing most of our stuff. So
accurate.
Who lives here? This was again, I think, episode 1. We kind of talked about it. I can't remember exactly.
We talked about. I don't think we picked the fantasy, but it's mostly primarily humans. Yeah. But again, fantasy for whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it wasn't. I think we strayed away from anthropomorphic stuff.
Yeah.
But like our own take on like elves, orcs, dwarves.
I
think that is a possibility. That's on the table. That's something we could explore if we wanted to.
I'm sure once we start diving into like character development and stuff, we'll give more information on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially once we start kind of fleshing out the main 3. We talked about that, right?
Characters,
that?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
The main 3 characters.
Just gotta check.
That's kind of when, if we are doing those kind of like our own representations of different species, I think there will be some representation shown in our main characters, so that once we start really delving into them, that's kind of, I think, when we'll make the final decision. And then I think as far as dungeon things go, there's definitely going to be, in my head, sentient things down there. There's going to be monsters.
100%.
Monsters that you have to deal with. I shout out, big shout out here. You haven't listened to it yet. I've been pestering you ever since I got on the bandwagon. But Epic the Musical, if you've not listened to it, listeners, you also, if you've not listened to it, highly recommend you listen to it. It's the guy's retelling of the Odyssey with his own like spin on it, and it's a concept album for a play or a show. He just got a deal for like an animated series, I think.
Oh, nice.
Very cool. But it's a concept album, and in one of the things, he talks about how in his universe, in his version of the Odyssey, how sirens' powers work. Because generally it's if you can hear their music, you fall in love, like, that's the best thing I've ever heard, I need to get to them. And then you die. You jump off your boat to swim to the sirens, and the tide pulls you under.
This will be one shame on you.
But in his version, if in the Odyssey, to sail past the sirens, Odysseus had everybody put beeswax in their ear. But his version, if you can kind of hear, like if you can hear muffled singing, then the sirens get like goofed up information from you. So their singing gives them information in his universe. Their singing gives them information on you. So like Odysseus, they showed themselves to him as his wife Penelope, which the whole thing was just to get back to Penelope. That's the whole thing for the Odyssey, is he wanted to get back to his wife. So showed up as Penelope and was like, hey, I'm right here, just come swimming. But because he had beeswax in his ear, they gave them wrong information. So they thought that he didn't like the water. So he was like, I know you're scared of the water, but like I'm right here, so just jump in. And he's not afraid of the water. So by Penelope being like, I know you're scared of the water, just jump in, I'll save you, whatever. He was like, oh, you're sirens. But that take on a mythological beast that has been explored and explained so many times, to take a unique take. I think we've talked about that for
same but different.
Yeah, to take a unique take on it, like minotaurs, whatever, normal dungeon monsters, gelatinous cubes type thing. I don't know if that is. We'll have to look up the SRD for D&D.
Oh yeah,
because I know beholders are a big no-go. Don't put them in stuff.
Straight to jail.
So we'll have to look up the SRD, see what all monsters... Because I think it would be fun to take something that everybody knows and loves, like the gelatinous cube, and instead of like making it just like acidic and just melt what it touches, it slowly becomes what it touches. So like if it eats this dude in armor, the gelatinous cube slowly becomes like made out of that metal. Still kind of gelatinous and can move around, but like becomes made out of the armor.
I like the idea of spins on things 100%, but also I wouldn't mind if we came up like with some OC, like here's just a critter we decided to make, a little concept idea, and someone drew it up for us, and we're like, that little guy's got to go in here. Yep.
Yeah. So I think they're definitely on the table, probably, is sentient things in the dungeon. I would not expect a crazy departure from things that you would normally see in the associated biome. Mm-hmm. So if there's we haven't even talked about this, but if there's like an underground ocean, like sirens would be on the table.
Yeah.
Type thing. And like mountains, you would see whatever, dragons maybe.
Dragons, trolls,
that kind of stuff. So, and like normal dungeons, and you'd have like goblins, kobolds. Again, I don't know if kobolds are a chill thing to talk about or have. Have to look up the SRD. But yeah, so definitely sentient stuff also within the dungeon. It's not just the humans that are smart and capable, and there are a whole host of things
ecosystem
in the dungeon. Yeah. Anything else on who lives here?
No, I think that pretty much covers it.
All right. The next one, this one's fun, and this one we might need to watch what we say a smidge, but it'll be fine. What are the fundamental rules? Define the laws of magic, technology, or physics.
Do you want to lead into that one?
Yeah, I think that, so again, it's low fantasy, so there is magic. I think that the sources, amounts, whatever, and if I ever overstep here, tell me to cut it, and then we'll cut it in post. The sources or whatever for like life-changing, life-altering magic are very few and very far between. So like anything that, like a fireball, you're not gonna, whatever. If you see someone who can cast a fireball, that's gonna be a once in a lifetime thing, and that's crazy that happened, right?
I don't know why, but the look on your face where you're like, that was crazy, right?
But I don't want to like someone being able to cast like Mage Light. I don't think that everybody can cast Mage Light, but I don't think that in this world that would be such a crazy thing if like you had in olden time you'd have the people that would go out and like light street lights. If you've got a dude that just has like Ring of Mage Light and he just like goes around to the street lamp and says Mage Light, Mage Light, Mage Light, and then lights the street lamp, like that's just like a kind of thing that's every day. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to life change anything. Those are more readily available. The just kind of like cantrips per se. But the spells, it's like, I think, to be fair, like a wish, like it's completely off the table. Like not even available in this world type of thing. Like that level of low fantasy where, yeah, your kind of capstone in theory would be your like fireball, lightning bolt, things like that. And it's again, if you see it, it's only once in your life, and you remember that time forever.
Tell stories from generations.
Yeah, like I don't know that I want it to necessarily be this rare, but in like Warhammer, like if you see Space Marines like in your lifetime as a normal human in the Imperium, like, you know it's about to be a bad heckin' day because there is no reason for them to be here unless there's like a threat to your planet.
Yeah.
As a whole. So it's not just like come and like take a robber and go. It's like we're probably not going to be here much longer.
This whole planet's going to be gone in about 10 minutes.
So that kind of a thing. Not that bad where it's like if you see them, you know it's going to be a bad day. And yeah, there are people in the Imperium, in the Warhammer universe, that don't believe that Space Marines exist. They think that they're just a tall tale that the Imperium says to make people think that they're like stronger than they are.
To think that's made up, and then you see one in person.
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
But like, yeah, I don't think it's that. I do think that for some people, the doubt is starting to creep in, where like that level of magic is myth. Like I've never seen anybody manipulate fire.
Did we talk about pause for did we talk about artifacts and stuff yet?
I think so.
That's in my head too. It's like, it's not inherently I can do fireball. It's that I got this fucking teacup that fucking I activate it and now it's a flamethrower. Yeah. Shit like that.
Yeah. Do we leave this bit in?
We can.
Okay. Yeah, I
if
think
that's something we talked about already. Then
I'm pretty sure it is. And like, yeah, to riff off of like the Ring of Mage Light, it's not something that the person inherently has, the magic within them. It is something that they have with them, on them, in them, an actual object, I think. And I think that that's key to tie in. I don't know if we should say this, so let me know if I shouldn't. I think that all of the magic in the world comes from the dungeon. There's not anything that is on the surface that is magical that didn't come from the dungeon.
I can agree with that.
So that, I think, again, that lends itself to the artifact idea. That lends itself with what we were talking about last week with customs. If you find an object, I think there would have to be some kind of metal detector for magic that the prison guards have, the customs people have, where it's like a sniffer and it beeps or whatever when it senses magic. And then you figure out exactly what it does, you log it, whatever, and if it's a ring of mage light, they send them on their day. If it's a teacup of flame throwing, maybe you shouldn't have that, buddy. And then it gets taken to...
You could definitely get like a ranking system. I like the idea of like, here's this book, here's this catalog of like... things.
Yep.
Things we found, things we went missing, things that are locked away and accounted for.
That's I don't know that I want to make this comparison. I'm going to almost like the SCP Foundation kind of ranking, like it's this magic item is world altering, it needs to be locked away, or it could end the world, or it's like this, it does a quirky thing, so it's whatever.
I don't hate that comparison, especially like same but different, like where they're talking about like creatures and stuff. This is artifact and magic, like
and that like you could this also lends itself, like we were talking about last week, to like crime things. Excuse me, because you can do like serial number them, like you were talking, you create a list of every artifact that's been pulled out of the dungeon. So this thing that isn't world altering, that you were cleared to keep but is more powerful than a ring of mage light, you just like sand off the serial number or whatever, and then it's some kind of like black market thing, or they found one use that this artifact had, and then they thought that was it, but this artifact has 2 uses, so then they...
What? Oh, man. Remember, I don't know if we mentioned in there, mentioned to you, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to let it all out, and we'll edit whatever we can. Yep. But when we were brainstorming magical ID tags, maybe that's it. Maybe it's not people, it's item. Magical ID tags for like, so serial number, but it's like a seal or some kind of...
Yeah. I don't hate that. We can definitely explore that, especially coming into our Set in Stone 2 weeks from now, as we're recording this, 1 week from when you're listening to this. But yeah, that's really, that leads to black market artifacts. I think that's a fun, the list of artifacts, I think, is something that we should definitely delve into. But yeah, so fundamental rules.
Noted.
Magic is not from people. I think that's the thing we're laying down pretty hot and heavy here. Magic doesn't come from within people. Magic comes from items in this world.
You can take that to the bank.
Yeah, probably. This is still just a Set and Sand episode. I think... Do you have anything else for that one?
No.
This one we've talked at length about, but it's a basic question again, so we're going to cover it here. How do people survive? What are the food sources, the natural resources, and the economy? That's one thing that we covered on the back of the book right away. The dungeon is the primary source of, at the very least, natural resources and jobs for everybody. I think, I don't know if we've talked about it on here, but if a new dungeon entrance is found or whatever, the cities are centered on entrances to dungeons. Like large cities, that's what determines kind of like whether or not you become a large city. I think like kind of for us now, it's like colleges and places to work. But then it's like that is just straight. If you have a dungeon entrance, if your city is centered on a dungeon entrance,
the economy kind of blooms around that.
Yeah, exactly. You get all your natural resource. Again, I think natural resources and jobs are primarily tied. You also still have your above the ground. I don't know exactly if I want food sources to be tied to the dungeon. That's something I think we can talk about in the off time. I don't know if I love that idea. But you can have like additional food sources in the dungeon. I don't hate that idea, but I don't think that should strictly be where they're from. But either way, you'll have your above ground, like your blacksmith You're not going to necessarily have to blacksmith stuff in the dungeon.
Yeah.
The people will go in and get the iron, steel. Steel is not an ore that you find naturally. Steel is an alloy. Whatever. Those will bring it up. You will blacksmith it on the surface. But again, that's inherently tied to the dungeon. If the dungeon's not there, then the blacksmith shop isn't there.
Yep.
You can't find iron on the surface. You need to go in the dungeon. So that's how people survive. Your natural resource and jobs are super tied to the dungeon.
Yeah, again, I don't mind. We can talk about it, but I don't mind the idea of just like there's cattle and farms, land and stuff, especially if like depending on timelines and things like that and what those look like down the road.
Yeah. Because farms, things like that, I think are fine to have on the surface.
Fishing, obviously.
Yep, especially with a land that's or a world that is primarily water. That again also just folds into the dungeon. Like you can have a small village and they can have the farm that supports the village, whatever. But when that becomes a job, when that becomes a profitable venture, it is because there is a dungeon entrance nearby that needs a lot of food to supply the people that are going into the dungeon, the people that are working on the stuff that the people bring out of the dungeon, the blacksmith, stuff like that. That's when that becomes a part of the economy versus just kind of doing it to survive. But yeah, again, natural resources specifically tied to the dungeon. If not wholly, I think I would like it to, you only get natural resources from the dungeon, but I'm mutable on that point, I think, if we wanted to have like some stuff.
Yeah, I don't
It's
hate
like
that. It's
way more
something I think I
plentiful
would
in
have
the
to.
dungeon.
Yeah, I think it's something to like kind of sleep on and see like the implications of if only or mostly that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think mostly this is kind of diving into it, but I think if we do mostly, that's kind of a cop out writing wise, because then we don't have to kind of explain, or like just history wise, we don't have to explain where they got their first bit of iron to start building the whatever, the prison around the gate or whatever. It's just, they found some iron over here because it was mostly on the surface.
Is that iron?
Or it's mostly, this is mostly in the cave, but there's some on the surface, so they found a convenient iron pocket right here. Whereas if it's, and again, this is kind of shooting ourselves in the foot, because then if we say that, then it's a cop-out. But yeah, if we make it so it's only in the dungeon, then there has to be the first group of people to explore that. There has to be the first group of people to enter. And what does that look like? That opens up that door for us.
There's a lot of...
Yeah.
It's funny in my head to, like, say something and, like, visualize a door opening, and then all of a sudden, like, you see 80 doors just start flipping open, and you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else for how do people survive?
No, I think just to end that, I say we just circle back to that and we
really think about what that means.
Yep.
I'm gonna do one more question, and I'm gonna leave this bit in right now.
It better be a good one.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave this bit in right now. If we don't answer the question, it's because the answer to that question got into some story stuff that we don't want to spoil just yet. So, here goes. What is the primary conflict? What brings struggle to the world? Examples: war, scarce resources, or magic.
I think that is we answer that question.
Behind closed doors. Yeah, I have an answer in my head. It is skirting dangerously close to things that I don't want people to know about.
The best I can, I'll say mine, and then if it's kind of along based on everything we've talked about, everything we've brought up, and things like that, without really diving in or even creating a hero. In my head, the basics is there's this person, and they're in the NCR. Nope, that's New California Republic. They're in the CR. they're in the CRU,
Mhm.
and they're trying to get out.
Yeah. I am going to take it a step different, and I am going to super vaguely also.
How vaguely?
It's super vaguely. And if you don't hear this, I'll leave this bit in, but if you don't hear what I'm about to say, then you'll know that Spencer here vetoed it.
It's just helicopter noises or something.
I think that at least what we're trying to convey in the beginning is it is very much government versus people. I think that is the main conflict that we are going to see. That's not like in your face, but that is the main driving force for what is going on. And do you think that tells too much?
No, I
Okay.
think that's
I think that would be
a good underlining theme of it.
It's got nothing to do with any recent events going on in the real world right now that didn't like spark any ideas or anything.
I've always been a punk rock guy, so I've always been like that. And then just I've seen plenty of good movies and shows. Like anytime you like from the first episode see that kind of stuff, it's like, oh, this is what we're getting into.
Yeah. It's a very much disrespect your surroundings kind of vibe.
Scream that so loud.
But yeah, I think that would, for me, that's my super vague primary conflict. And again, that may not, I don't know exactly how that will manifest itself yet.
Yeah, I think that's still part of just the world and story building.
I think that if I had to wager a guess, I think that will primarily be behind the scenes. It won't be like talked about.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be in your face, at least to begin with. It won't be in your face.
Maybe like hints or something.
When they're going through the prison and showing the permit.
That was a weird interaction, right? Yeah.
And NPC says something about not trusting the government or something like that. And it's a tinfoil cap speech right now, but it might not be in 6 chapters or whatever.
And that's half the battle is we spitball in and see what sticks.
Yep. As always, this episode was significantly longer than the other one. We are, again, dreamers at heart. We like to talk about what could be, and we're very kind of intentional when we're talking about with what is. But that being said, do you have any other basic things you want to talk about right now before we close this one out?
I think you made a good list, and I think it definitely gives me things to think about.
Mm-hmm.
I think that scratched the itch for me.
No. I do think we should do another one of just basics. I think I'd curate another list of questions. We didn't answer all of them.
Yeah.
So
our house is still going to tip over if we start.
Yeah, I think we kind of do that, and we'll come back at you again after the Set in Stone episode from this one. I think we're going to cover exactly what. I know we kind of did that, but I think we're going to have some mutations on some of the things we said.
Variations, if you will.
Yeah. If you liked listening to us, cool, awesome. I appreciate you. I don't like listening to me, so more power to you. But do all the algorithm-y things. I'm trying to talk too fast. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to send us an email at takethatdepressionpod@gmail.com, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to leave a comment on our YouTube, subscribe, all those things wherever you can, we really, really appreciate it. It lets us know we're going in the right direction. Recently, it's such a small thing. Recently, I got an email. We hit 500 streams and downloads on our Spotify, which is sick.
That's really huge. You think about when you think about your favorite podcasters or YouTubers and they got millions of subscribers and views, you think about that, but you think about two nobodies like us who just decided to talk and do a thing. 500 is huge.
Yeah, that's a very fun, and it was a cool thing to surpass. that's been very, because we haven't put out 50 episodes yet, so that's technically more than 10 downloads per episode, or yeah, more than 10 downloads an episode. So that's pretty fun to think about. But cool, fun thing that we had going on in our neck of the woods. Again, nothing special, but it was a fun little milestone. 500 is 500. That's pretty cool. But we love you guys. Thank you for sticking around till the end. Again, I know this one was longer, but it's a dreaming episode, and we do love dreaming.
I'm dreaming over here.
Hey, I'm dreaming over here. As we love to say, I'm going to get out of here. Stay safe out there.
And most definitely don't get mugged.
If you are struggling, please, please, please reach out to someone or dial 988 to get connected with someone at the National Suicide Hotline. You do not have to go it alone.